Hi, today we're going to look at how we can use Sampler to mix up and juggle up our samples so that we can take a beat like this and vary it very quickly by changing the samples that we're using to create the beat. We've got a very simple beat here running along, and by selecting different samples or even randomizing, we can vary that beat very quickly. Let's try another one. We can adjust pan, etc. So this is all done in Sampler. Let's have a look how it's put together and how it works. So as I say, it's all based around Sampler. If we turn this down for a second, we have in the rack, we have 6 instances of Sampler, and maybe just let's have a look first at the notes and you can see exactly what's going on. These 6 instances of Sampler are all set to one specific note on the keyboard. Let's have a look at this. We see we have C3, D3, E3, F3, G3, A3. Each one corresponds to one of our instances of Sampler. C3 plays the kick, D3 the snare, E3 the tom, etc. So that's all that's going on. So if I change my kick with this, or change the snare, or randomize everything, I get a new selection. Let's go back then here quickly. Let's have a look at the simple beat again. So I can, as I say, I can randomize, I can adjust volumes, pans, whatever I wish to do. And the way this is achieved is through the zone function in, let's mute this for a second. It's achieved through the zone function in Sampler. So you'll need Sampler to use this, so you have to have the higher version of Ableton Suite, I believe. But if we go into the zone here, we can see that I've loaded 128 kick drums, basically the kick drums that come with Ableton. Same with the snares. If I go to the next instance, I have all the snares on the second instance. On the third, I have all the crash, fourth, hi-hats, etc. So I've put these banks together, and as you see here, as I go through them, the key moves. So this one is playing on G3, and then it moves down, and it moves down, it moves down all the way. So each instance of Sampler is linked to one specific key. And then if we go into the sample select here, which is this button here, you can see that I've spread these 128 samples here across, here we go. I've spread these 128 samples, I've distributed them effectively across the 128 selections available to the macro here. I move the macro, we go down to 0, and up to 127 here. So, and it's actually quite easy to do this. It's not a lot of work. So you can see I can move through with this. I can bring my beat back, and I can simply move through the different sample selections. So if let's go to the very beginning. So if I put it on right at 0, I'm playing kick 007. 30, move this very gently, kick 49, etc. So that's what's going on. I'm just moving through the selection. The same for the snare. These have also been mapped across this macro. I hope it's understandable. If you're not sure, then wait till the build and I'll show you how this works. So yeah, anyway, so that's the mapping of these 6 samples, or these 6 sample banks. So we can change them around as we want, as I say, randomize, whatever, and it just simply, you can see the little blue bar here, simply just jumps to another sample. Okay, then we've got some other basic functions. We have pan, we can pan everything how we want, but at least pan for instruments 3, which is this one, 4, 5 and 6. So the kick and the snare I don't pan, but we can pan the cymbal, the hi-hat close. I mean, I'm using drum samples here, but in theory you could put any samples in here. I had some melodic samples in here and other things, sound effects. You can put your own samples in. I've simply used the ones that come with Ableton to make it easy to share this file. But I say, you'll see this in the build, how this is put together. Alright, so what else do we have? Yeah, then we have volume controls over each instance. So we can adjust them, but the real fun is in the just simply playing around, see what comes out when you randomize all these permutations of drum samples. Just keep clicking randomize till you find something you like, then you can record it or whatever you want to do. Okay, so let's have a look then how this is put together. You're going to need to begin with an instrument rack here. You can drop an instrument rack here, drag it in. You'll then have your macros available here. We'll use all of the available macros, so we'll open those up. Then we're going to need the first instance of sampler here. So we'll drop that into our instrument rack. And then we will map a few things. Actually, we open our chain with this icon here. We'll map a few things here. First being the volume. We can map that here to volume 1 at the bottom here. We can also, well, we won't need our pan on this one. We'll do that separately. So that's the first thing we need to do. We'll just map that. Then we need to get our samples in and our zone set up. And the way we do that is we go into here and we go to our samples, and I have, close that down, I have selected here from here upwards. If I just hold the shift key, I'll select those. That is 128, and we'll open the zone again, and I'll just drop those straight in here. And then we have this. So we have here the select and here the key, and you see it's spread across all keys at the moment, and it's every sample will play. If I play one, it's spread across all of them. So all we have to do is go to here, right click, and we distribute the ranges equally. And there we go, that's done. That is now distributed our 128 samples, 127 plus a 0, across the range here. Now, what we need to do then is to go here to our mapping again, and we select this bar here and there, and we map that to our kick. There we go. So we have the sample selector now mapped. So if I move that, we'll see, turn this off now, we can now move through the samples with our selector. As easy as that, very simple. We now need to go to our key and define which key we want this kick to play on when we press it on the keyboard, or however we trigger it. And so we simply leave them all selected here, go here and just drag it. I had it on C3, the kick, so we drag it there, we get the other end of it, and drag it across here, C3 on this one. That means it will only play now on C3, and so let's try that. There we go. Just playing on our C3 here. Well, I'm on the simple beat, sorry. So it's playing the C3. Very simple. So that one is set up effectively. And all we now have to do is repeat this for the next. Or we can, yeah, we'll do the finish the mapping here. We would just do this for the snare. Let's go to the snare now, turn that off again. We would then put another instance of, close that down again, we will put another instance, go back to our instruments. We would put effectively the rest of our instances of sampler in here. We need 6 of them, 3. And we can duplicate these. Let's rename this to 1. Rename so we can 2, 3, so it's clear. Seems to have gained an extra one, so we don't need that one. We have 6 now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, 4, 5, and 6, we just simply go here. We can map our pan here to this. 4, we will map here. 5, we will map here. And 6, we will map here. The volumes will also map 2 to this one, 3 to this one, etc. We've got those in, and so it's really simply a case of going now to our second one, which is here, the snare, going back into the zone, going to our key select. We can come out of the map, going back to our samples again, filtering for, instead of kick, let's filter for snares. Drop these ones in and see what we've got. Okay, same thing again, right click, distribute ranges equally. I might have put too many in here, so I could go here to the last one. You see that these ones here are all playing on the last key, so I don't need this one down to the bottom. I'll put quite a few in there. We'll delete those. And there we go. So we have, again, 128 samples. Best to select them all, go to the bottom. Select all with Shift. And then we can do them all at once. So let's just move that to D3 on that side and D3 here. So once you've got all your snares in, you've set the key, we just go back to the select again, click the map, click that, map that to the macro, and now we have control of the snares. We can now come out of the mapping, come out of the zone. So we have these two. If I now put my beat back on, I have the snares and the kick mapped as well. As easy as that. So you would just repeat this for the samples you want to put into the further banks, remembering always, as I say, to define your key, distribute the samples across here, and once you've distributed them, to map this here to your macro control, so that you have control over the range. Okay, well, I think that's it. One final thing, maybe you might not want to randomize. We can turn this off for a second. You might not want to randomize all of these, so I've excluded the pans from the randomization. I've excluded the volumes from the randomize, exclude these macros from the randomization. The only thing that randomizes here effectively then, is the sample banks themselves. When you press the randomizer, only the banks will randomize. You save it here into your user content here. Let's close this down. This will save into my user library, into presets, instrument, and you'll find it there in your instrument rack. Yeah, as I say, I hope this has been useful to someone, and see you in the next video, hopefully. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.